School gardens. The research took place in Palm Desert, California at Carter Elementary School in Desert Sands Unified School District. 3 general education 4th grade classes and their teachers, 87 students, and 3 teachers participated. The importance of this study is that project-based learning, or PBL, is an important tool in our quickly changing world. Project learning is a tool that is fundamentally crucial in creating successful students who are ready for the world that awaits them. A successful education means students leave K-12 understanding that learning is a process and journey that never ends. PBL in school gardens. The traditional method of teaching science has been in a standard classroom setting with a textbook. The instructor teaches about the life cycle of plants and the students listen. At most, hands-on experience would be the students growing a seed in a styrofoam cup. The purpose of this study was to see and understand the efficacy of an entire school garden. What the garden looked like. 8 raised 5x8 beds were tended by the 4th grade classes. The project spanned from seed to harvest. A compost bin was utilized all year. Each plant was grown from seed in a small greenhouse. The students were all given a specific job, and the garden project lasted all 9 months of the school year. A mixed methods approach to data collection was used. Quantitative data came from science test scores, Likert style questionnaires. Qualitative data came from interviews, journal entries, and observations. Here's a sample of a visual chart of projected science test score data. The first column is the pre-test scores. The second column is the midpoint standardized science test scores. The last column is post-test standardized science test scores, where the 4th column is a comparison of post-test science standardized scores with another school in the district that didn't have a school garden. Research by Holmes et al. States that students who participated in school garden programs showed improved science achievement, scored higher on science achievement tests, and demonstrated increased interest in agriculture. In the late 1990s, the public superintendent of California Public Schools called for a garden in every school in California and set aside funding for the project. Today, only 2,000 schools in California are using the gardens to enhance the students' understanding of science and nutrition. In Nepal, a garden study was done, and it determined that students who are exposed to hands-on science instruction with the school garden achieve better scores on science achievement tests than do students in traditional classroom settings, so much so that policy reform is in place in Nepal schools. Here's a sample of what science attitudes could look like after being exposed to a school garden. And I just put them in trimester 1, trimester 2, and trimester 3 for an easy visual. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that every study I read mentioned the joy and attitude improvement in students after participating in a school garden. The Williams et al. Study conducted from 2 low-income urban middle schools in Florida with 113 students and 3 science teachers used school gardens in measuring students' motivation, achievement, and science identity, and found that garden-based activities foster a love of science and an increased interest in science-related careers amongst the participants. Finally, this is an example of self-efficacy after participating in a school garden, with leadership being the green bars, and I segmented this into trimester 1, 2, and 3, perceived science ability being the red bars, science learning, the yellow, collaboration with teacher, the blue, collaboration with peers, the green, and problem-solving abilities. Self-efficacy is a personal belief in one's capacity to organize and execute courses of action required to attain designated types of performance, often described as task-specific or self-confidence. Self-efficacy has been a key component in theories of motivation and learning in varied contexts. Science programs that include a garden are more apt to boost self-efficacy in students. A large portion of an educator's job is to empower students to believe that they are capable of achieving personal success in varied areas. Utilizing project-based learning, teachers are able to grow students' capabilities in a natural environment. And finally, a school garden is beneficial. Growing a garden and learning about growing cycles could creep into so many other subjects like writing, math, engineering, and technology. There are many examples of how a garden could enhance the curriculum. Writing could be utilized by journal entries, research papers on plants' growing cycles, or poetry. Math could come in the form of measurements for the planters, measuring growth of the plants, finding volume, area, mass, shapes, counting seeds or produce, or weighing the plants produced. Engineering ideas could come from designing the planting space, creating trellises, designing the way the plants will be spaced and planted. Students will get to create, design, and test these creations. Technology can be used in a multitude of ways, from research to watering advances. Literature could relate by choosing books from the past where gardens were necessary for survival. Art ideas, blueprint design, drawing plants, planting props in the garden like markers, painting trellises, painting the planter boxes or pots. These ideas are only a few. The ideas and possibility for curriculum design surrounding the garden are grand. And sources.